one of the things that I love the most, like in doing my advocacy, is I love to talk about taboo things. I went into one space one day and I was like, I can't remember where it was, but we were talking about like bladder health and stuff, right? And so for context, I have neurogenic bladder and I've had bladder problems since I was born. And I have to actually like use effort to pee. Like I can't just sit down and pee like a typical person would. Like I have to strain, right? Like I was going to take a crap. And so I went into one space one time and I was like, hi, I'm Bella. I push to pee. How are you? And people were just like, and you know, the reactions, like some were like, what is she on? The other ones were just like, did I hear her correctly? Yesterday, like I crapped my pants, you know, and just like move on.
Did you actually crap your pants yesterday?
Not yesterday.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Yeah, not
sure.
yesterday. Yesterday being the key word. Yeah. But like, you know, I've talked real openly before that like I still wet the bed, and talking about like how uncomfortable that is sometimes, like when I travel, if I'm going to stay at someone's house and I'm like, oh my God, like what if I do? Like, are they the type that would be cool with it if in the morning I'm like, hey, I need like an extra set of sheets, you know what I mean? Do I need to bring like Depends or something like that, you know? And there's so much like shame around that stuff. So I have no shame in every way possible. So I'm happy to just like go out there and talk about this stuff so that someone else doesn't feel like it's just them, right? There's a lot of gatekeeping within the community of people saying like, if you're disabled, this is how you need to think, or these are the values that you need to have. And I despise gatekeeping on every level. Not just like within the disability community, but I see a lot of that. And then we have a lot of the, oh gosh, I call them like disability cops, right? That will come in and say like, oh, there's no way that you could have that because you're still doing X, Y, Z. And my friend has that disease and they're not able to do that, right? And that shit makes me so angry to see stuff like that. Because again, disability is a spectrum, just like every fucking human is unique and different. I don't know. I mean, I've had some shit tossed at me. I think the one that bothers me, and I shouldn't even say bothers me, but it's ridiculous, is when people say, are you really disabled because don't you have a job? And they equate being disabled with getting disability benefits, right? And I get that one a lot. But like, yeah, I don't get it either. Now you've got something I'm going to be like pondering over the weekend. You know the meme of the woman, I don't know what she's from, but she's from a TV show, but she's like doing all these faces and there's all these scientific you know, equations in the background. That's how I feel I'm going to be this weekend. Actually, handicapped is an ableist term. And when we say that it's an ableist term, if you look at the root of the word and like where it came from, it's horrifying. I can't remember the exact thing, but it dates back to violence during like slavery. Is where like that term came from. And but there's still but there again, there are still people, like you are an example, you use handicapped and you're perfectly fine with that, right? There's other people that don't use it. So
stop being offended by everything and changing the word to like handicap and disability. I feel like it's ruining the disability movement, because like disability people are always like, we want equality and we want to be treated like everybody else, but then they're just like trying to change language to like kind of be like, you want to be treated as special because you are changing terms and everything. So why don't we just take the terms that we do have and just like embrace it and just like make it more powerful instead of changing the new word, because the new word is gonna become toxic anyway. So like you're just moving a goalpost. It's like, let's just empower the word. Like, so what if someone calls you handicapped or disabled? Like, okay, so what? I just keep going forward. Like, stop being insulted by language. Like, if language is gonna stop you, then like you're gonna have a tough road ahead of you, because
queer means that you still don't feel like you really belong in that. So I have a weird, for me, it's I don't weird isn't the right word. I have a unique relationship with gender. Like, I identify as a woman, but like there's so much of me that I don't really feel like I'm 100% woman. So that just kind of like adds in to that. And just like language changes, like I may change the way that I feel or how I want to like express my identity at some point. So for me, queer is just easier to use, right?
Hello, welcome to my podcast, to Mike 1 Joe Suits. I am Joe Suits. I'll be giving a mic to Bella. Bella will be bringing her big Bella energy today as we talk about inclusive language. And then this is the part we should describe ourselves. So I'll go first. So I'm a white, cis is normal male, right? I always get it confused.
Cisgender, yeah.
Cis is just a normal male, right?
It's like you present the same way that you were your sex at birth. So yeah, you would be like a cisgender male.
Okay, so I am cis.
You don't have to include that if you don't want to. Like, yeah.
I honestly, I really get it confused with the whole language. Well, you're an expert on this, so of course you know, but I would get it confused.
You can literally, yeah. You could literally just say, like, I am a white man, I'm wearing a black Dior hat, you know, and, like, I have, like, a goatee. Like, you could even just do that. Like, it doesn't have to get really detailed. Mine is almost, like, on autopilot because I have to say it so much.
Yeah. I'm going to leave all of this in just so everyone can watch me just fail miserably.
I love it.
Hey, this is my first time. Yes, so I'm a white man wearing a black Dior hat. I'm wearing a shirt that resembles snake skin, and I think that's, and I have a goatee going on right now. I'm wearing glasses with blue tint in them. So I guess, Bella, you can go now.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm happy for
Thank you
to do that. So yeah, I'm Bela Gaitan. My pronouns are she, her, or they, them. I am a light-skinned Latina woman with very short curly hair with shaved sides. I'm wearing a black t-shirt with Rick from Rick and Morty that says, "You're a piece of shit," and I can prove it mathematically. And yeah, just behind me, I've got like a green wall, a painting, and some plants and other little tchotchkes here and there.
I think disability community kind of hypocrites in its own way because, like, disability people complain a lot, and if there's a solution, they just won't do anything. So, like, for example, so let's say, like, always a big topic of, like, we all want, like, be representative and such and like that, and then, like, you go on the pages of, like, let's say Runway of Dreams, that they feature disabled people in the fashion world, and, you know, they barely get like 100 likes, you know, on the pages, and like low interaction throughout the year. And I'm like, they're actually trying to push down below forward of, like, let's have inclusive people and, like, the fashion world and stuff, but, like, no one wants to do anything. Like, the least you could do, like the photo. That how you could already do the following they have, the more sway they have and the more influence they have, but they don't do anything. Or, like, they'll have a disabled person on the show, and it's like they don't even watch the show, and it's like, so are you, like, want inclusive? Is it not? Like, do you even care about it at all? Like, I think we just don't really care about it. Like, I don't, you know, like, I see it with my posts, like, people just don't care about the disability at all. It's like, is it a disability thing? Is it a personal thing? It's really hard to say, like, why one post would do really well when one will not. Like, I don't think, I mean, to also add to that, I think most people use their disability as, like, their whole personality, and, like, that's, I get it, like, you're an advocacy page and such, and I get it, but, like, sometimes it's like, I don't care about this disability. I care about, like, are you funny? Are you, like, cute? Are you entertaining? Like, that's other things that you know, like, I can follow other people that have, I don't know, X blindness, you know, but, like, I'm following you because you're entertaining to me, or you're great, or you're doing something. Like, just, no one's following you because you just have X disability and such. And I think people get lost in that too. But yeah, I think they did not, we have the power if we all group together and, like, create big change, but we don't. A lot of us just complain, and, like, unfortunately, like, making a social media post is really gonna do nothing. the people like me are pushing the envelope forward, actually trying to make change. Most people are like, oh, like someone posts in the handicap spot, and it's like you post a picture and everyone's like, oh yeah, post this person. I'm like, you're not. I even commented on one of them. Like, you're not doing anything. You're just posting about it. Most of your audience are already disabled, so they know they're not gonna do that. Most people that follow you are not pieces of shit, so they won't park in it. The only change that you can make is that confront that person, like, hey, don't park here, and this is the reason. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. You're just part of the cogwheel, I guess, and it's not gonna do anything. I mean, even
Yeah.
me making the video, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just talking about it and having a following, but like I'm not really changing anything either. And like the people that are really making the change are the ones that going to Congress and getting the law passed and such. And even like for you, feel like you're doing a lot of work with like you're going to these conferences and stuff. But I feel like it falls on deaf ears because they'll listen to you, they'll like you, and then they won't do anything. So it needs to be like there needs to be like a law or like a rule in a company like, hey, anything we do forward, we have to do closed captioning or such. You can't rely on the story. It has to be like a real physical gun on the back of the head to do something. You know, like they have. It's
Yeah.
like I think a lot of people just miss the point of like you can't just talk about it. You gotta like do something about it. That's what makes me upset about the disability community. It's like a lot of talkers but no doers.
You know what it reminds me of when you were talking about all that? It's like when October rolls around and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and everybody's like, we're pink. We're pink
Yeah.
to support breast cancer. And I'm like, you're not doing shit for breast cancer. You are doing the least that you could possibly do. If you want to support breast cancer, raise funds for it. Find
Yeah.
out if you can like volunteer for like research or something, or shit, like actually do something. And I mean, awareness is important, but you're right, like awareness doesn't lead
I mean, to
to
me, awareness does
change.
nothing. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
knows breast cancer is, but like, what do you learn from it? Nothing. You just buy a picture, and that's it. Okay. Okay. I mean, to me, like, as a disability person, I just hold people accountable of things, and it's like, for not doing anything, I'm eventually gonna have a tool, I'm gonna be selling a product that's gonna help the disability community, and that's gonna be really awesome. But like, otherwise, these podcasts are really doing nothing. Like, I mean, realistically, my disease, advocating for my disease will do absolutely nothing to the world. Is it interesting? Sure. Is it entertaining? Sure. But like, how is my disease knowledge going to help you in any way? Like, maybe I'll help you win $2,000 on Jeopardy, right? But like, otherwise, it's not going to do anything. I can understand like if you have breast cancer, like that's a disease that affects way more, and like, let's say you're telling how to find a lump, like that's really something that's worth like learning and to do because breast cancer affects a lot. But like my disease, only
Yeah.
800 in the world. Like the chances of you coming across another person is so rare that it's not even. Use me as entertainment. Like me, hate me. I really don't care. It's just entertaining. I think people just don't want to
Yeah.
hear that. They're just like, oh, I'm doing all this great, and it's like, no, you're not. You just want the attention and such, and it's like, move on. Like my intention to doing all this is getting the
Yeah.
clout. Honestly, that's really my intention. Everyone's like, oh my god, like why do you say
Yeah.
that? I'm like, I'm just being realistic about my intentions. Like I don't, that's,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you said, I'm going into these spaces and people are listening to me because they like me. Well, first of all, like I'm not as likable as some people might think because I am very like, in your face and I don't sugarcoat shit, right?
yeah,
And as a consequence of that, I don't get as much requests to go into organizations and stuff like that. It's mostly from people that follow me, so there's that. And it's just, I lost my train of thought here. Hold on a sec. Let's see. Oh, okay. So while you were talking earlier, being the complete dork that I am, I remembered a quote from Rick and Morty that seemed like applicable about, complaining versus, like taking action.
mm-hmm.
So there's an episode where Beth asks Jerry, do you want to end homelessness? And he's like, yeah. And she goes, and are you going to go out and build houses for the homeless? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, then what good is the yes? Right? And that's how it feels a lot of times with a lot of this stuff. You get people that are wanting to bring attention to a certain thing, but like you said, they're not taking any action. Like using the example that you talked about with someone parking in the accessible parking spot, they'll take a picture, put it on Facebook. What an asshole. Like, look at this person. They must be the lowest, piece of crap. Did you approach the person? Did you go into, like, mall security? Did you, like, call the cops? Did you, anything else that you could have done? Like, did you do that? Or are you doing, like, the action that takes the least effort? It's kind of like, if I say, hey, I have cancer, and people are like, oh, I'll pray for you. Like, first of all, no thanks. But, it's like they're not actually going to do anything. They're not going to, they're not saying, hey, if you need someone to take you to your appointments, like, let me know. I'm here. Can I bring food over for you and your family or something? No, but I'll pray for you, right? Or I'll click, care. I'll click the care reaction so I can show you that I care. And it's just...
I sent a Venmo, honestly. I'm like, hey, just give me money, please. That'll help. Yeah, I mean, I think the disability community is a very negative hive mind. Because, like, I was talking about, like, the person parking a handicap spot. Like, I would post, like, comments and then, like, the person, like, that replied to me would get, like, hundreds of likes defending them. Like, oh, you're advocating and all that. And then it's like, like, no, we're not. Like, your intentions are great, but, like, you're not doing anything. Like, I did get crucified on the internet for it, and I'm like, I wish people would just stop back and think about it. Like, I kind of always use the example of, like, McDonald's. Like, every few years, you always see the video of, like, how McDonald's made their chicken nuggets, and, like, it's all this disgusting shit, and then, like, that day or even the next day you're eating chicken nuggets, like, it didn't even do you any good at all. So it's like, what you're doing, or with, like, Nike and, like, you're seeing, like, child labor, and it's like, you're still wearing them, so, like, is it really doing anything? No. Like, you gotta, like, it's such a hypocritical, like, doing any advocacy. Like, I don't think advocacy really does anything, because most of the time, like, if let's say you have breast cancer, no one is gonna see your post about breast cancer until they're healed and such, and, like, in a good place. Like, they already learn all these things, so you're not really educating them. I guess it's great that someone can relate to, but that doesn't really, like, help me at all. Like, I have a rare disease with 800 people, and I don't talk to one other person that has my disease. Like, I couldn't care less. Like, at the end of the day, like, you talk to other people about regular, normal things. Like, oh, like, how do you cook steak or something? Like, just regular people. Like, it's not... I think disability... I think disability people think too highly of themselves, as shitty as that sounds. And I'm like, I think we should, like, pipe down a little bit, like, let's be realistic about it. Like, not everything is possible. And, like, if you want to be the change in the world, do it yourself. Like, I'm a creator. Like, you want to support a creative person, go and watch my video. Are you not gonna do that? Okay, like, cool then. You're gonna support it.
Yeah, it's tricky, because we have so many folks like yourself that, if I can paraphrase what I've heard from you so far, you just want to live your life. Like,
yeah.
And live it how you want to, and what makes you happy and what makes you feel good, right? But, under the surface, you're still doing things for the community, whether you think so or not. If you're putting a seizure warning up, like, you're doing that. You're doing the captions. You're making this awesome tool that is going to be something that benefits, like, our community. So you are taking action, right? One of the things that I love the most, like, in doing my advocacy, is I love to talk about taboo things. I went into one space one day, and I was like, I can't remember where it was, but we were talking about, like, bladder health and stuff, right? And so for context, I have neurogenic bladder, and I've had bladder problems since I was born. And I have to actually, like, use effort to pee. Like, I can't just sit down and pee like a typical person would. Like, I have to strain, right? Like I was going to take a crap. And so I went into one space one time, and I was like, hi, I'm Bela. I push to pee. How are you? And people were just like, and, the reactions, like, some were like, what is she on? The other ones were just like, did I hear her correctly? But when I go and talk about like these different topics, I get so many messages from folks that are like, I'm too ashamed to like bring this up to anyone. Like you make me feel like I'm not alone. And for me, like I love to be able to do that, right? I love to be able to let people see not just the good stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want to come on here and be like, "Oh, like I did this, I did that." I
Mm-hmm.
also want to come on and be like, "Hey, yesterday like I crapped my pants." You know. And just
Did
like move
did
on
you
and
actually
just
crap your pants
no,
yesterday?
not yesterday. No.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
making
not
sure.
yesterday. Yesterday being the key word. Yeah. But like, I've talked real openly before that like I still wet the bed. And talking about like how uncomfortable that is sometimes like when I travel, if I'm going to stay at someone's house and I'm like, "Oh my god, like what if I do?" Like are they the type that would be cool with it if in the morning I'm like, "Hey, I need like an extra set of sheets." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to bring like Depends or something like that? And there's so much like shame around that stuff, so I have no shame
Yeah.
in every way possible. So I'm happy to just like go out there and talk about this stuff so that someone else doesn't feel like it's just them, right?
Yeah, man. I feel like everyone's always like, oh, we should talk about this, and this. I'm like, I think it's out there. It's just like, I mean, the one thing is that it's hard just to find it. That's like the biggest. That's like the biggest fear. Just when I start selling my product, like people have to know it exists. So like, have to rely on people to share my. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, I think a lot. I mean, I think everything that you're thinking of exists on the internet already. Um, and this is like you have to just find it, or you're just not searching for it. And I get it. And then I don't know. I don't. I feel like I'm the minority that I don't feel like relating to someone's problem doesn't really help me at all. Like it doesn't benefit me at all. Let's say, like I don't pee my bed, but let's say I pee my bed and I meet you. Like it doesn't do me any good at all. It's like okay, cool. Like it's kind of like oh, we like this same sports team. Like it doesn't. It's just more
Yeah.
like will we get along per personality wise? Like do we have like the same humor and like same language of how we talk and all that? That would make me more
Yeah.
like attractive to talk to you, not just like we have to be friends because we're both disabled. It's like no, that's not really it. Like it's not. I don't really care about the relatable experiences. It's more. I think I just older now. It's just more relationship is like how can we help each other elevate ourselves in any way. I think that's all.
Yeah.
That's all relationships are now after like the age of 21. How do we lift ourselves? Like if you're not a valuable person, it won't give you want to be friends with you, and you gotta create your value somewhere. Like unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. So I get my voice in the disability community. It's just being realistic about it. Like oh, like sure, there could be some posts where I want the likes and interaction that I'm totally gonna sell out
Yeah.
there, but like I try to be like the realistic voice of it and such, and like that's just, like I think there's just too many like holders in the disability community and everything can be great and stuff. Like I think sometimes we just need that hard love. I think it's especially different coming from a person that's actually disabled versus someone that's physically able because we don't listen to
Yeah.
them anyway. But like yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
trying to be that. Yeah, I'm trying to be that voice. I might get a lot of hate for it, and like I'm okay with it. Like a lot of people are not. Like I think I'm also like you kind of talk about privilege in the beginning. I think I'm a little privileged that I'm a white male that I don't get as much as if I was like a woman, and stuff because they get bombarded with like dick pics and hate messages all the time, and it's
Yeah.
like that's really hard on that. So I don't. I mean, I guess also like one of my love languages is being roasted. So like, if you're gonna hit me, like hit me hard. Otherwise, it's not gonna
Yeah.
do anything. So I kind of like feed off of it. I love it. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
you can't hurt me in any way possible. Like if you want to hurt me, just compliment me, and I'll just like shudder. That'll hurt me a lot. By the way, yeah, it's like a weird, like I don't know. I hate it. It's a love-hate relationship with the disability community.
Yeah, no, I get that. And there's a lot of gatekeeping within the community of people saying like if you're disabled, this is how you need to think, or these are the values that you need to have. And I despise gatekeeping on every
Mm-hmm.
level, not just like within the disability community, but I see a lot of that. And then we have a lot of the, oh gosh, I call them like disability cops, right? That will come in and say, like, oh, there's no way that you could have that because you're still doing XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend has that disease and they're not able to do that, right? And that shit makes me so angry to see stuff like that because, again, disability is a spectrum, just like every fucking human is
Mm-hmm.
unique and different. Just because, like, you have, is it FOP?
Yeah, F as in fuck
Okay.
and then OP. Yeah.
I like that. Fuck off, P. But just because, like, you have that, let's say I meet someone else that has it, and, you know, they have this ability where you don't have the ability, or vice versa. I can't sit there and come to you and be like, well, you don't have it as bad because that person, you know, can do this, right? There's so much, like, comparison and trying to, like, quantify if someone is disabled enough, and that drives me up the wall. And it's kind of like, I mean, everybody has their limits. Everybody has different pain tolerances. Everybody has different energy levels. Like, people don't stop and think about all the different factors that go into like who we are and not just our disability.
You know what's funny though? Like as much as I put myself on the internet, I don't get that much bad things happen to me. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong or right.
What you're doing wrong, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, because like I'll get like to have like a half naked photos of myself on my internet, and like I thought I get like like fetishes and all that. Like I haven't gotten one, maybe like one, and I did like bad in them away, but like I really haven't gotten any. Like I think it just comes with a guy. Like I'll get my posts and never really got anything negative in that. Or I got like you call them the cops, the internet cops. I never really got any of those really. I feel like maybe like I'm like the accountable cop, I guess. Like I don't do it on everyone, but like
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really like get that much though. Like I know like I hear all these horror stories, but like I don't know if it's just like I'm a white male, is it like something about me that people just don't want to come at me? Like I'll get like the occasional like religious people like, oh, I'm gonna pray for you, or like let's become an atheist, so like put your vision to God and something of those lines, and I'll just like bite them on it. So that's funny. And then like I get Indian guys or like guys that like try to convert me, but I don't get that many that often. And it's like, what am I doing right or wrong? Like I don't know. I want to be part of these horror stories. Like I don't get anything really.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. That's interesting though. Like, well, and to be honest, I don't get a lot of it either. And so I'm trying to think of like parallels between us. I wonder if it's just
I mean, I guess
the
we
authenticity.
have law. I mean, maybe we have the low followings would make sense. I mean, I think it's maybe maybe we just hear the horror stories all the time, and it's like we think there's a lot, but I don't think there's that many. I think people are still kind
Yeah.
of afraid to like speak their minds on things too. Like, of course, there'll be some shitty people, but like I don't think there's that many like shitty comments that do. Like sometimes I'll get the occasional comments of like, "Why are you wearing nail polish?" And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. Like it's kind of weird. Like I don't like I feel like there's something wrong with me. I really don't know. Like maybe people are just exaggerating a little too much. 'Cause I never really like had horrible experiences of anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it could have a lot to do with being like a white guy.
Hmm.
Um I think people who are more visibly disabled, and I hate to even say that, but I don't know how else to like
I
describe
mean,
it. I
that's the
think
only way to describe it, though.
yeah, yeah. And I think people that are more like visibly disabled kind of I think people would probably feel worse about trying to come to them and say like, "Hey," and try to like check you or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I don't know. I mean, I've had some shit tossed at me. I think the one that bothers me And I shouldn't even say bothers me, but it's ridiculous is when people say, are you really disabled? Because don't you have a job? And they equate being disabled with getting disability benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that one a lot. I get that one a lot. But like, yeah, I don't get it either. That's now you've got something I'm going to be like pondering over the weekend. You know the meme of the woman. I don't know what she's from. She's from a TV show, but she's like doing all these faces, and there's all these scientific like
Yeah.
equations in the background. That's how I feel I'm going to be this weekend. As I'm like, like how
I mean, we
what's
hear
going
it from
on
other
here? But
people, but like I don't know if is as a parent as we are making it seem. Maybe people are just lying. I wouldn't say lying, but maybe they're just showing like the best ones. I mean, women will get
oh,
like
yeah,
dick pics and all that. Like I understand like they probably get dick pics more often than they're saying it. Like I get that. But maybe like the hate
yeah,
comments on it. I mean, like I guess the one example like the woman that's disabled, like severely physically disabled, and she just gave birth to someone. She can like barely take care of herself, and like she'll get a lot of comments of like oh you shouldn't have kids and such, and like how could you and such. And I guess that. I mean, you also sometimes you get these comments that like I think it depends on your audience too, because I think some like if you have a funny audience that like roasts you, and I love those comments that
yeah,
like they like do the
yeah,
dark humor jokes and everything, and I think it's hilarious to watch it unfold. Like I want that kind of following, but like I don't know, I never really I don't know what I'm doing right or wrong, or like people are afraid of me. I don't know, like I don't think I'm like that. I don't know. Maybe people think I'm just like dumb or something that don't want to like hurt my feelings, even though like I'm super intelligent. I don't know. I'm baffled by it, and like I'll tell other people, and like they're baffled by it too. Like, huh, really? Like I'm just no people sliding into my DMs really ever. I'm more reaching out to people. Like no
yeah,
weird comments on my YouTube channel at all. Oh, it's been pretty like okay. Like I don't like once in a while I get like
yeah.
this crazy guy, but like otherwise it's pretty. I don't know. I'm I am
Yeah.
complex.
I mean, I can create some drama if you want me to. I mean,
I mean,
I'm
sure. I mean, I've
happy
been
to,
trying.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like I'm trying to like be controversial here, and it's like not doing the job that I thought I'd be doing. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Like I don't know. Like I'm just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my
That's
gosh. I
something.
think one of the funniest things that, and it's so simple, but like I loved it, is when you you had the interview with Chris is it special books for special kids?
Yeah, my
Isn't
special
that his
kid.
name? Chris? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you had like your interview with him, and I think you were posting that it was up, and you're like, "Hey, like, go follow Chris. He's an up and coming YouTuber
Yeah.
or something." I died laughing at that, and I was like, "I wonder if anybody else gets that because unless they follow Chris and they know, like, how big his following is and just all
hmm
the cool work that he does." But yeah, I like shit like that. I love
Um, yeah,
when people roast
I
me.
think that people just underestimate me. I mean, it kind of it's always that I look dumb, and I get that. So like when I'm sarcastic, people think I'm extra dumb, and it's like I dig myself into a deeper hole, and I'm just like fuck. Like how am I gonna get out of this? But yeah, I don't know. It's just like this weird. I mean, Chris. I mean, I talk to Chris from time to time too. Like, we actually clicked really well, surprisingly. But he doesn't get that many bad comments on his page either. Like, it's been mostly like 90% positive. So like,
Yeah,
there's something like up. I guess. I guess people are just. I mean, I definitely do think like the world is like. I feel like it's shittier than gray, unfortunately. Like I don't know. Like now I'm trying to think. Like are we? Maybe we're just living in a good world right now. I don't know. It's like weird.
maybe it's just because we bring the extra awesome, and that's why.
I don't know. Like I think. I mean, I just wish I could be like a woman. I feel like if I was a woman, I have like a million followers by now, and like I have like obsessed fans following my everything, and like I'll sell like my feet pics and all that. Like I would love to do that. I feel like maybe I'm a woman in my maybe I'm a woman in my inside that like wanting to do all these things. So I don't know, like it's
Yeah.
weird. Like, but let's go back to language. I only had to go one question honestly, and we even go like
It just
yeah to like. Well, I want to go more into your expertise. I don't know why my light died, but I'll fix that while you're talking. So I have here that you are working on a list of ableist terms. So what is an example of an ableist word? Because I'm kind of not. I don't really understand.
yeah.
I mean, I know what ableism is, but I don't know what ableism words are that are ableist.
You are not alone, so don't like
Yeah. Well, that's
feel
why I have
like
you
you're
here, so I can
behind or
talk to you about it.
whatever. Yeah. So actually, handicapped is an ableist term. And when we say that it's an ableist term, if you look at the root of the word and like where it came from, it's horrifying. I can't remember the exact thing, but it dates back to violence during like slavery is
Okay.
where like that term came from. And but there's still but there again, there are still people like you're an example. You use handicapped and you're perfectly fine with that, right? There's other people that don't use it. So my guide is basically there to help people like understand the the history of the different words, right? Like where did this come from? And even simple words like because I'm a nerd. I love to like, examine
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like think about the word deadlines. We hear deadlines like for work, we got a deadline or for a project. That actually has again like a violent start of where that word came from. And again, it's slipping my mind. But I just love to see how language evolves, right? So I want to have this resource that if someone is like, okay, what are some of the different words? Like someone that maybe, let's say like what we were talking about in the beginning of the call, like cisgender, right? You weren't sure exactly like if you were using that correctly or what it meant. Um, you could go to there and just like see like a definition of exactly what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And one of the things that I'm doing in there as well is I'm making like the the information I want it to be very clear and concise in like plain language
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's important for people to be able to like grasp that and have examples whenever possible. But I was actually on a podcast a couple weeks ago for Disability Rights New York, and that was the topic. It was linguistic ableism. So we were talking about like the ways that language is tied to disability and just also like how powerful language can be. So I'm putting together this resource and it's just like I'm getting help from other folks that are it's like crowdsourced. But yeah, I hope to have that up very, very soon. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to be working on that.
Yeah. I mean, I wish more people, I guess, was more like me, like stop being offended by everything and changing the word to like handicap and disability. I feel like it's ruining the disability movement because like disability people are always like we want equality and we want to be treated like everybody else, but then you're just like trying to change language to like kind of be like you want to be treated as special because you are changing terms and everything. So why don't we just take the terms that we do have and just like embrace it and just like make it more powerful instead of changing the new word because the new word is gonna become toxic anyway. So like you're just moving the goalposts. It's like let's just empower the word. Like so what if someone calls you handicapped or disabled? Like okay, so what? I just keep going forward. Like stop being insulted by language. Like if language is gonna stop you, then like you're gonna have a tough road ahead of you because there's so many more things that will hurt you like physically and such. Like it, I think people are just too uptight about it, and like I think gotta relax a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think it was I think it was the person I interviewed with on DRNY, And she brought up the example of like nobody says Fortnite anymore, right? And I know that's not like an offensive term, but language does evolve.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting for me to see like where things come from, and especially like here with English, you know, so much of like a violent past, and it's really interesting to see like how language evolves. It can be overwhelming. I can speak also to LGBTQ and the different letters that keep getting added to it. Now, for context, I'm queer, so I am part of that community. But as we add more of the letters to that, yes, it's being like really inclusive and allowing people to be able to have their identity expressed. But it gets really confusing when folks have no clue what those different, you know, like gender identities and sexual identities
Can
are.
you guys
And
agree
I've
with like the word like gay and like lesbian and call it a day? Like why do have to be so many other things?
Can you say that again? It cut my headphones
Yeah,
cut out.
can we just like use just the word gay and lesbian and just like call it a day instead of adding all these other letters that making it way more confusing than it has to be?
I mean, that's a tricky question because a lot of people don't identify that way, right? So, like me, I identify as queer. Like, I can explain exactly what my queerness means, but queer is kind of like an umbrella term, right? And it kind of means something different to each person. So, yeah, no, I don't think we'll ever get back to just saying like gay and lesbian, because then you have like bisexuals, you have people that are asexual, you have queer and stuff
Wait,
like
what's the
that.
difference between queer and gay then? I'm confused by that.
Okay, so technically gay would be two men
Yeah.
and lesbian would be two women.
Okay. Yeah.
Bisexual, obviously, you know, one or the other or
Yeah.
both. So for queer, I'll give you an example. So we have, like, have you heard of pansexual before?
Yeah, they're into pots of pants. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Pansexual is like where you can fall in love and you're attracted to pretty much anyone. And it doesn't necessarily mean like someone
Mm-hmm.
who is the same gender as they were at
Yeah.
birth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you could fall in love with a trans man, you could fall in love with a two spirit person, you know, stuff like that. That's more along the lines of like where I am. I try to simplify it and say that I love hearts, not parts. Like, I don't care what you have downstairs or if you have anything up here. Like, I just fall in love with the person. I'm sexually attracted to a person. It doesn't matter how they identify. So that's my queerness. But
Wait,
yeah, and I've talked to a lot of
wait, hold on, but I mean, shouldn't you call yourself pansexual then, not queer? Because then what is queer then?
because so queer means that you still don't feel like you really belong in that. So I have a weird, for me it's I don't, weird isn't the right word. I have a unique relationship with gender. Like, I identify as a woman, but like there's so much of me that I don't really feel like I'm 100% woman. So that just kind of like adds in to that. And just like language changes, like I may change the way that I feel or how I want to like express my identity at some point. So for me, queer is just easier to use, right? And but if you ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different answers for queer. And
But
it's kind of like if you ask someone what
but I
they
mean
mean
that's
when
not
they
a good
say they're
word then,
disabled.
because queer should be specific, like specific definition. So when someone calls you queer, it should be a specific meaning to it. Like you can't make it a nuanced word because it loses all meaning.
It's kind of like disabled. Like, you know, me saying that I'm disabled. To some people, they think that I mean that I am getting disability benefits, right? Some people say I'm disabled and they simply mean that they are like physically impaired, right? They'll say I'm disabled. You have other people that have disabilities that don't consider themselves disabled. Well, technically, they are disabled categorically, right? But maybe they just don't feel disabled. It's definitely nuanced,
Nah,
and I think
you're this.
yeah,
Either
I
you're
disagree on that.
disabled or
I
not.
think
You
it
can't just
is.
like pretend.
Oh no, I agree. I agree. You're either disabled or you're not. But when people say I am disabled, it has so many different meanings depending on the person, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think it's too complicated for no reason. Like and it's also like no one's like defining anything. It's like I think it is adding confusion to it. I always go like, oh, he had a disability, but like I think the other person knows that it could be so many things, and like let them handle it. Like you can, and if you have to describe more, you can say, yeah, the speaking disability, or like you can add something to it. I think like I think the whole like LGBTQ plus, I think there's a plus in there now or something. Like it's just
Yeah.
too much to do. Like I understand like there's pansexual and then there's asexual and then there's demisexual. I'm kind of the demisexual kind of thing to describe it, but like I wouldn't describe myself of like I'm demisexual to anyone. I would just go I'm either straight or gay, you know. And then like when you brought up like you might be interested in like a being, so like that. But I think that's such a small group that's like I think to put that gay is not the most appropriate, or lesbian is not appropriate for that. So you could put other sounds really shitty to say.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what word you could put to describe. I don't know. I still think we have to follow the two sexual. Honestly, I think that's going to do it. If you're into a being, there's still a male or a female, so you still like that. Like maybe I think it's just like obviously like if you're, let's say I'm a male, like I'm straight, that okay, I like women, right? But then it doesn't define like do I like Latina women, do I like like black women, white, it doesn't describe that. So I think just saying you're if you're pansexual, just saying you're bisexual, I think that covers all the bases, and you could move the conversation forward. Like I don't want to hear a 20-minute thing. I like all these attributes. It's like, okay, you're bisexual, cool. Okay, move on. Like I think, yeah, I think the thing gets too much wording, and I I kind of get like we want to include everyone, but like I think sometimes being inconclusive is hurting us more than helping us at this point. I still think there's more problems, I guess, that deserve more that, that deserve more adjustment over what to call you. I think there's much more deeper to that. Like just because I call you the right pronoun or something, it's not gonna help you psychologically. I feel like there's just a small minor part to the problem of how you feel. I feel like the bigger problem any minority group has is really their self-esteem on it. Okay, me calling you a dude should not hurt you at all. I don't have any ill intent. Most people don't have that ill intent. I think people should understand that. I know there's like a difference between like, let's say we use the word like gay. Like sometimes we'll say like, oh, well that's gay. I mean in a bad derogatory term, or like a person is gay. But I think if you're just a regular person, you can understand my context of it. It's not like, oh, I hate gay people now because I use that as a slur. No, that's not it. It's just a context thing. I think more people should should like that, but I think it's lifting their self-esteem on it too. But with that being said, I'm not gay, and I don't know what they've been through and such. So like, of course, people might stab me with a pitchfork. But I think most people are not getting it as bad as it seems on the internet too. and I think people are just creating the horrible situation. I do understand there are some situations where like, people can't come out as gay, and I do get that, but I think if you're like in a major city, it's not that bad as you are making it seem either. So like I think it's a very small group of people ruining it for the rest of us. But like, what is your opinion on that? And, like, do you think I'm a piece of shit, or like there's some truth to it, or like what is your thoughts on it?
Fuck you, Joe. I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it's interesting because I think it ties back to what I said earlier in that I think it's hard for us to understand something when it doesn't apply to us, right? And so, you said like I'm not gay, I'm straight, I don't understand. And I think that has a lot to do with it because you've not had to go through those experiences. Do people exaggerate about anything in life? Absolutely. Do people exaggerate on the internet? Hell yes. But as an example, like I used to be a crisis counselor for the Trevor Project, which serves LGBTQ plus
That must be a
youth
hard job.
and up through like young adults. It was like a volunteer position for a year.
Yeah.
It was brutal hearing the things that people went through, hearing about like the abuse of every type, right? Physical, sexual, emotional, psychological. But like I'm thankful that I had that opportunity because I learned a lot from those people's lived experiences, right? And so it opened my eyes to things that I would have never probably known about because I don't have, I didn't have someone in my life at that point that I could kind of reference, right? But yeah, again, one of the things that I try to say about intent, like you said, I don't have ill intent if I say like, hey, dude. And this is going to be a really drastic example, but it's the only one that I've been able to come up with is like, if I drive my car into someone else's and I end up like harming the person, right? It wasn't my intent to crash into them, but the harm was done regardless. And so again, I think it's really important if just in being like a good person, right? If I say like, Joe, you said this to me, like, I don't like that. Please, like, it hurt me. I think, just the easy thing to do and, the kind thing to do is to just be like, oh, like, Bella, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean anything by that, but it's noted. It's up here in the Joe Awesome, machine up here, right? And then you just kind of like move on, right? And you know that about that person. And I think that's really important for us to be able to like build that empathy and compassion for people that we can't understand their lived experiences with, because we're always going to say the wrong thing at some point. Every one of us is, right? We're always going to put our foots in our mouths. And being disabled doesn't like it doesn't like exclude us, right? It doesn't mean that we get a free pass to just be like an absolute asshole. But again, with that said, there's so much that goes into it, right? Because we're talking about like language and the evolution of language. We're talking about the different nuances. We're talking about the difference in being something coming from someone who is disabled and someone who's not disabled, right? It's so complex, and I think it's just important for us to try to treat each person as an individual, whether they are disabled, whether they are straight, whether they're bisexual, whether they are Chinese, whether they're an immigrant, Muslim, like whatever, is just like understand that everyone is unique and appreciate that uniqueness, right? And even like differing opinions, like a bunch of stuff that you've said on here, I absolutely disagree with, but like it's okay, like that's your right to feel that way, right? And like I still have respect for you. I still like you. I'm still very thankful that I came on here and had a chance to talk. And maybe we can title this as like a controversial, interview. But I mean, like, it's just, I don't know. At the end of the day, don't be a dick. You know, just like, don't be a dick. Be a good person. Do like, yeah. I think that's the most important thing. I would wish for people to take away. Don't be a dick.
I'm gonna definitely include that. No, yeah, I get it. I think it's also like a weird, I guess like a unique experience of being disabled because you're in a minority group and like I can kind of relate to a like gay person just because of course we have different like views and such, but I feel like we have such similar experiences, especially when you're physically disabled. I feel like maybe gay people have it better just because they're able to do so many other things normally anyway. Like gay is just that you just like the same body part that you do have. Like it's not a big like I know like for some people like it's just a huge deal, but like for me it really doesn't make any difference at all. Like it's not like let's say my best guy friend becomes gay, it's not like oh now he can like start sucking my dick. It's like no, like that's not how it works. It's not like like I'm attracted to women, like women don't come and just start sucking me off either. That's just not how it works. And like some people really think that, like, oh now he's gay and it's like now he's just like looking at everyone. It's like no, he just likes X thing and go with that. But like, I know a lot of people are not in that mindset of like being realistic about it. But yeah, I think like I think it's interesting if I can talk about it to an extent and such, and like actually go as people I guess respect my opinion and it's some kind of light. I know it's not. It could be exactly the same, and like, there's like the gay conversion camps, and like that shit is just horrible. Like, I don't even know how that's
Yeah.
possible. Like, what the fuck? Even in 2023, that's still a thing. Even know how they're even around, and just it's horrible. It's like, why does it really like? I mean, why does it even matter what they like? Like, it had nothing to do with it. I can understand, like, it kind of goes against, like, marriage and should be a man and woman. I get that. And, like, oh, you can't have two male as parents and two females as parents. And I do get that, but, like, it really doesn't affect anybody at all, especially. And then also, like, if you're talking, like, adoption, like, let them, like, they're going to put money and invest money to get a child. Like, they deserve it way more than a man and woman that just met for one night that barely know each other. They don't even know their last name.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, let them go. And, like, like, I never really, like, met, like, I mean, they've been treated so much like shit for a long time. They're actually, like, really nice people because they don't want the same to do. Like, I never met, like, bad gay person. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. I mean, the only thing I would say that is, like, controversial in a way, I actually hate, like, this episode won't be released till, like, 6 months later. But, like, right now it's Pride Month, and I actually hate the whole Pride Month happening right now. I get why it happens, so, like, other people can see that you're gay. But I think I don't care about, I mean, I care about, like, I don't care about gay people, like, I don't care about if they're gay or not, that's not my problem. I just don't like the culture around it. Like, they, like, put it in your face that they're gay, and it's, like, cool, I guess. Like, I don't put myself like I'm straight in your face. It's just like a trait. Like, I don't like it. And then I think the other thing is also like it's also a lot of colorful colors. And I'm sure there's like gay people that don't want to be colorful. Maybe they like dark colors or something. Like, why it has to be like this bright? Like, maybe they're just regular normal gay people. Because it's not doing anything. Like, not being extra gay, I guess. Like some gay guys like would be extra feminine. I feel like sometimes they're just doing it on purpose. Like, you don't have to be. You can just like the same thing without being like extra. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the gay community hates me now, but like that honestly, like, it's like a weird. Yeah. So like, do you think I'm a piece of shit now, or like, am I okay? So.
No, you're okay that Nat has like returned. I have a love-hate relationship with any of the awareness months and days and stuff. because I think it's part of it is like really sad to know that our society needs a reminder that there are people out there that are different from yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or there's people, there's causes like, again, like Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's really sad that we need a month to be reminded that, breast cancer is a horrible disease. I mean, my aunt just died like
Mm-hmm.
in on Halloween actually from breast cancer. I think it's horrible that we need something on the calendar to remind us that there's this horrible disease out there, right? And so when you look at all the different awareness months and days and weeks and whatever, they all, in my opinion, they stem from a place of
Money.
people just not learning about stuff. Well, yeah, money is one of them too, but I just think it's really sad as a society that we have to be, reminded that we should give a shit about XYZ. But, during this month, right? And then because people leave the month and then it's nothing. Like, so one of the rare diseases I have, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, May is like the awareness month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, the Ehlers-Danlos Society will always build this like 31-day like photo type challenge, right? For the month. Every day has a different theme. And so when I was first diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos, I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna do that, and I did it, right? Did I get likes and comments and stuff? Yeah, but when I looked back, I was like, but what did I accomplish? Like, I did accomplish, showing people who are not disabled like some of the problems that I have. Like, wow, that's great, but I do that anyhow because I'm very open about like what problems I have and stuff like that. Like without it being even tied to advocacy. And so I look at stuff like that and I'm like, well, I would much rather effort be put in consistently year round. For people to put in that effort to actually care about a cause like that. So yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, and I know a lot of the advocates I've spoken to, if they don't have the spoons, as some people in the disabled
Mm-hmm.
community use, or the energy, to contribute during those months, like they feel guilty because it's like they're expected to, right? And I recently posted about that on Insta or LinkedIn, I think, because I was like, May was Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month. I didn't post a damn thing. And I said,
Uh-oh.
there's a part of me, yeah, and I said, there's a part of me that it's not really feeling guilty, but it's like, I know that folks expected me to post stuff during that time, right? But I was like, okay, the reason I didn't post was I fucking have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And my hands only have like so much energy in the day, and then I get to a point where like I cannot be sitting here on the computer or on my phone, trying to like post stuff. So it's, yeah,
I mean,
it's a strange
a
relationship
word of
I
advice
have
is
with these
actually you
different.
should advocate not during your month, just because everyone else is posting, so like your post gets swallowed by everybody else. So you might as well post it in a non-month just so you get more likes and
Yeah,
interactions, so it feels more
yeah,
worth it. Anyway, so that's kind of what I do.
yeah,
So I mean, all my episodes I've done, I don't plan it around any holiday at all because they get even
yeah,
if I did on that month, it gets swallowed by everything else and it ruined all my efforts. So I might as well post just so like
yeah.
it
It's like,
pops
yeah,
up.
the
And it's like
saturation. Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
that's what I do. I mean, all my guests, I don't plan around any. I just go based on who I interviewed at that time, and like just go down the list. I don't pay any attention. Like if people are gonna like the post, they're gonna like the post regardless of what month it is and such. And like
yeah, yeah,
it's yeah, I think it advocates. I think like another thing with like the disability community is that it takes over our lives so much that like sometimes we don't have anything else, so like you want to give something back. And I do feel for people that some people, it really takes a lot of their lives away and they don't really have a life outside of it. Like all they have is their disability and they want to post, and like advocating and such, and it's like, I get it, but like at the same time, it's like not, like I don't think it's like worth it. Sometimes it's, there's people that will do well, like me, kind of in a way, and there are people that just get like 2 likes, and it's like, is it really worth it? I don't think so. I don't think my posts are really worth it anyway either. Even though I get 400 likes, it's great. I love the intention, but like it doesn't really, at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything. It's just, it's like a weird phenomenon, but I don't know. If it makes people feel better and they feel like they're helping, then like, why not like let them do that? But like, I think another thing that annoys me, like you were talking about like fatigue and such. What annoyed me that people will be tired, I think, and they're still wanting to post, and I'm just like, just stop posting. Like for one, social media, it's like an interaction thing that you want to interact. So this, if you're exhausted, just stop posting. Nothing's gonna happen if you don't post at all. Like, the world can go forward. Like, just worry about